Okay, guys, so today I know we did our language experience stories, and I decided to use Miss Jasmine's language experience story to kind of give you a little bit of a new lesson on punctuation, right? So I am going to go ahead and read Miss Jasmine's language experience story without incorporating punctuation. And then after, I'm going to read it again and I'm going to incorporate verbal punctuation. I want you to tell me if you can indicate any differences between the reading of the first time and the reading of the second time, okay? I'm going to begin. Today at recess, I played with Elena, Avery, and Benjamin. We went to the big playgrounds today, so we all chose to play tag. Avery chased Elena and I around the playground for a super long time. After a while, I got tired. I started thinking, where is Benjamin? Why isn't Avery chasing him? I started searching for Benjamin, and I saw him hiding behind a tree. Then Avery and Elena and Benjamin and I decided to play hide and seek instead. Whew. Okay, that was the first time, guys. Now I'm going to read it one more time, and I want you to then tell me if you can tell any differences between the two readings, okay? Today at recess, I played with Elena, Avery, and Benjamin. We went to the big playground today, so we all chose to play tag. Avery chased Elena and I around the playground for a super long time. After a while, I got tired, and I started thinking, where is Benjamin? Why isn't Avery chasing him? I started searching for Benjamin, and I saw him hiding behind a tree. Then Avery, Elena, Benjamin, and I decided to play hide and seek instead. Can everybody kind of see the differences between those two readings? And if you can you please kind of tell me what those differences were? Okay, class, now that we're able to kind of discuss the differences that we heard in those two readings, I'm going to take a little bit of time and ask you to pull out that graphic organizer that I gave you a little bit earlier. And I am going to review some of the definitions that we see on that graphic organizer, okay? So I want to first explain to you that the difference that you heard in those two readings were punctuations. They're called punctuations, right? Can everybody say the word punctuations with me? Punctuations, right? And the first punctuation that we're going to review is a comma. A comma is a very brief pause that happens in the middle of a sentence, okay? And now that I told you what a comma is, I want you to draw this picture in the drawing section of comma, okay? A comma looks like this. Please draw this in the drawing section where you see the word comma. A comma is a very brief pause that happens in the middle of a sentence. Okay, class, now that we've gone over all of the vocabulary that we have on our organizer and we've drawn our pictures in the drawing section of our organizers, I'm going to switch back to Miss Jasmine's language experience story, and I want the whole entire class to help me, because I kind of forgot, to help me place the punctuations that belong in Miss Jasmine's language experience story. So I'm going to ask you to pull out your punctuation baggies with all the fun punctuations that we just went over in them, and I am going to put Miss Jasmine's language experience story back on the board. Okay, guys, now that we have Miss Jasmine's language experience story back on the board, I am going to go ahead and read through it. And I'm going to pause every time I feel like there should be a punctuation somewhere in her language experience story. I want you to use your organizer to help me find out where these punctuations belong within the story. And I'm going to ask you, as I go along, where I should place them, and I'm going to ask you to come to the front and to put them on the board, okay? So let's start. Today at recess, I played with Elena, Avery, and Benjamin. Elena, Avery, and Benjamin. Okay? I read that again because I just have a real quick question. Does anybody think that Elena and Avery are the same person? No, right? No. Elena sits on this side of the room, and Avery sits on that side of the room, right? So Elena and Avery are not the same person. Even in line, if Avery and Elena were next to each other, they wouldn't be able to like be one person, right? Because they're two individual people. So how do we separate Elena and Avery in our sentence so that everyone knows that Elena and Avery are separate people or separate ideas presented within our language experience story? Elena, you said that comma says that it separates two ideas or exactly. Thank you so much. So could you please come up and show me exactly where you would put that comma? Thank you so much for your help, okay? So we've established that Elena, Avery, and Benjamin are all separate people. So we have commas between Elena's name and Avery's name and Benjamin's name, right? Because all of our friends are individuals and they have their own individual gifts, personalities, and everything like that. And we want them to be separate in this story, right? So now we look at the end of the sentence where it says Benjamin's name, right? Today at recess, I played with Elena, Avery, and Benjamin. Does everybody think that might be a full thought or a mouthful when you say it, right? And don't you think that it's time for us to take a little quick pause, right? So that our friends can process the information from that part. What would we do if we wanted to take a little quick pause at the end of a thought? Can you look at your graphic organizer and tell me which punctuation would allow us to take a little quick pause at the end of the thought? Jaslyn, you say a period, right? A period, right? So can you read to me what your definition for period says? Exactly. It's the end of a statement or a thought. Exactly. Great job. So can you please come to the board and show me exactly where you would put that period? Thank you. Alrighty, thank you for your help, everyone, in completing Miss Jasmine's language experience story punctuation. Give yourself a hand clap. Okay, so now I want you to pull out your own language experience story, and I want you to get in partners. You can choose anybody that's across from you or anybody that's beside you in your desks, and I want you to get together and determine what punctuations go where in your language experience stories. If you notice, Miss Smith didn't add any punctuations to anybody's language experience stories, right? I'm sneaky, right? Now, I just want you to determine where your punctuations go. Use a partner, help your partner. I want like a lot of discussion, not super loud, but I still want you to discuss the topic, right? And I want you to use that graphic organizer so that you can decide where your punctuations go, okay? Thank you. Alrighty, guys, I see that everybody kind of completed their punctuations for their language experience stories. Now I want you with your partner to discuss what you've learned from this experience. And then after your discussion, I'm going to give you all about 5 minutes on the timer to discuss what you've learned. I want you to separate from your partner and silently write a summary about what you've learned, okay? Thank you.